This be crazy, huh?
And now, a three-time sports editor, former online and managing editor, and host of Talk That Talk, award-winning journalist Terrell Chatterbox Emerson.
Welcome to it. Welcome to it. It is 3:00 on a Monday afternoon, so you guys know what time it is. It is time for Talk That Talk. I am your host, Terrell Chatterbox Emerson. And if you guys are watching via our YouTube live, you guys should know who I'm in the studio with. And we can go ahead and get right to it because I'm going back to the wide shot. You guys heard him off camera before, and now this is his first official time on camera. So welcome to the building, Isaiah Torres. Isaiah, what's going on, man?
Not much. I'm very excited. Before we dive into it,
Talk to me.
Obviously today is the beginning of another college basketball season.
Yeah, man. Let's give another round of applause. Let's do it. Why not just give it up now, right, and get right to it? As a matter of fact, we are getting to that in we're starting hour 2 with that.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't want to dive too deep into it, but that's just how I feel about today. Like I woke up today and I'm like, here we go.
Have you been watching since this morning?
I haven't been able to. No, I have not. I just because a lot of the beginning games of the year, there are a lot of like the gimme games. For lack of a better word.
USC's wasn't a gimme this morning.
Really?
Yeah, USC and Ole Miss. So that one
that is. Man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, man. It ended up being a win for USC.
Really? Okay.
And Juju put up big numbers, but where is the number? Here it is. So it was 68-66 as the final. I think Juju had 27, 10 rebounds, 4 steals, 5 blocks. Like, yeah, man.
She's nice. Like I said, like we could dive more into that in the next hour or so, but yeah, that's just how I feel. I know college sports is always ever changing, but
even more so today.
It's still something I look forward to every year.
So. Yeah, man. And I mean, I think there's a lot of people with you. I'm gonna be completely honest, but again, guys, welcome to our Thursday edition of the Talk That Talk radio show. I am your host, Terrell Chatterbox Emerson. This is episode 32 of season 6. Round of applause, clapping up for that. Really quick, I do want to apologize for not doing a show on Thursday. The funny thing was, I actually reached out to Markel, our typical Thursday person, and Markel wasn't sure when he was going to get off of work, right? And that's not on him. My issue was, I was like, oh, we'll just go ahead and do it on Saturday. Something told me not to announce the Saturday one just in case. And I didn't. I actually just sent in my recent update for my card, right? And the update hadn't taken yet. So on Saturday, the card wasn't working for the studio. So that's actually why we didn't have one this weekend. So I apologize for that, guys. But we are here, fresh week. As Isaiah said, we got fresh sports to get to, as a matter of fact, too. Got a couple teams in bye weeks. But yeah, man, we got a lot to get to. And we'll start with my mom's tip-in, then we'll go to socials, and then we'll go ahead and get this beautiful thing started. Let's start with my mom's tip-in. Considering the week that I've had, I think this is a good one for a couple of different reasons. But my mom's tip-in for today is positive people also have negative thoughts. They just don't allow those thoughts to control them. Now, by the way, I do want to let you know I'm testing my headphones, and yours may be like leveling out weird, so you may have to level yours out in a second too.
Okay.
But again, Shout out to my mom for that one. I'll read that one more time. Positive people also have negative thoughts. They just don't allow these thoughts to control them. So shout out to my mom for that. I'm very, very appreciative for that, considering the crazy week that I've had. But yeah, man, we'll get to some socials. We'll get to where this show is shot from, and then we'll get into some sports. Unfortunately, I have a couple of maybe at least one sensitive topic early. I think I have a couple of them early, and we want to kind of address those right away. And then we'll get right into some fun stuff. Well, I don't know if you can call the Raiders fun right now, but we'll get into some fun stuff later down the line with this show. But again, guys, if you guys are watching via our YouTube, we appreciate you once again. New little setup for us. All right, we're definitely testing out some new things. But it's looking like YouTube Live is going to be the home for us moving forward. If you guys would like to do so, all you have to do is go to your YouTube, go to the search bar, type in Talk That Talk Radio Show. I believe our specific on YouTube is at Talk That Talk Radio Show 195. In case you guys wanted to go ahead and follow that, go ahead and subscribe. You get all of the notifications when we're going live. And yeah, man, it will be Mondays 3 to 5, and then Thursdays 10 to midnight. And we're getting back to podcasting. I promise you, we're getting back to podcasting. We had some things come up as it typically does, right? But again, if you guys would like to follow us on pretty much all of our socials, it's pretty similar to YouTube. All you guys have to do is go to Facebook, Instagram, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, rather, Spotify. Go to the search bar, type in Talk That Talk Radio Show. Once again, go to all of those different platforms, type in Talk That Talk Radio Show, and it will pop right up. The one thing that's different is our Twitter. Our Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. Once again, our Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. And of course, this show is shot from the beautiful studio here at the Harry Reid Research and Technology Park here on Sunset, here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Zay, let's get to some sports, man. Let's get to it. So, I'm gonna start with so you're first of all, I actually want to switch it up. You're new to the company, but you're not new to me, not even a little bit. We have made it a point with this company to build with people that specifically that we went to school with for whatever reason, right? That's the way that this company has kind of shaped up and shipped out. In case you guys are wondering, here goes a little bit of a drum. Do we even have a drum roll on here? I don't even think we do. We have a drum beat. What's this? That's not it. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. But what I told you guys, it's a new setup. This is the fun part. But Isaiah and I met at UNLV. You want to give the people a little bit of a glimpse about what you did on campus. I've seen you in a couple of different roles, couple of different capacities, and then we'll get right into why they should listen to your opinion on sports.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I went to UNLV, journalism and media major as well, media studies major, and I got at the very end of my freshman year, I got introduced into the radio station at UNLV, KUNV.
Shout out to KUNV.
Which is funny because, you know, like I don't want to over tell a story here, but
it depends on what it is. I might be with it.
No, it's just it was something that was never talked about. You know, like I went into school, wanted to do journalism, thinking, you know, even though it was kind of dying already, but print journalism, like I always enjoyed writing about sports, talking about sports, and I had no idea that there was a full underground radio station and TV station studio at our school. It was never advertised or talked about or discussed. I found out about it at the very end of my freshman year of college, and I instantly wanted to get into it. So my sophomore year, that's when I started being involved with the station. You know, shout out to Dave Norse. He taught
another
me
person. While wait, shout out to Dave, man. I haven't been back to see him in a while. I'm hoping to see Dave soon.
He is someone I should also go back to visit and see. But yeah, just he taught me. You know, when you start at the station, you got to go through the training, the onboard training, how to run the show, and then you also got to go through the FCC regulations.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I went through that process. I got my own show, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It was nice. I tried to do a show where we talked about sports, whatever was going on in the world of sports. Yep. And also, like, I love playing, you know, hip hop and R&B music, and I like adding, you know, whatever was new in hip hop and R&B, or even some throwbacks as well. And it was nice to have the freedom to do the show how I wanted to, play the music I like, talk about whatever. And I got to bring friends on the show, and it was nice. And through being with the station, I got to expand and grow. And my 1 hour little quick show turned to a 2 hour show the year after that. And
I'm giving mad round of applause this episode, guys. I'm just letting you know.
yeah. And then through that, I got more training and trust with Dave, and I eventually got to be involved with not just having a little radio show, but being involved with the sports side of the radio station, where we got students were able to do play-by-play and color commentary for football and basketball games, and even baseball a little bit, even though that was the least popular of the three. But yeah, so I got started doing that, just testing it out, seeing how I could do color commentary, play-by-play stuff. And then after about a year of doing that, Dave trusted me to do the role of actually setting up the remote kit that we would use, the equipment to
I do remember that.
do the play-by-play. So I would go to the games, set up the equipment all the way up in the rafters of Sam Boyd Stadium and Thomas and Mack, and some sketchy kind of build up spots. We'd be in a camera box. We wouldn't be in like a safe seat. We'd actually be in the camera box at Thomas and Mack. And we would be up there with the birds at Sam Boyd Stadium, whether it was 115 degrees on an August night or 55 degrees on a December night.
You know how shaky those roofs are. Oh my God. We just told a story maybe a week and a half ago about that. And thank God we're in the Legion now, right?
Yeah, that like I said, it's nice to see the school go a long way, and as long with the opportunities the students have,
Right.
or former students.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, right? And that's kind of what makes this fun, because everything that you just said about KUNV is kind of what this company has been. And anybody who's been around the KUNV energy when we were there, we can't speak to it now. We don't know what the energy is like now,
Yeah,
but
no idea.
yeah, some of the things that I've heard isn't necessarily good.
Mm.
So I mean, I would like to even reach back and just help those students, like you just said, understand how serious of an opportunity it is, right?
Big time.
And it's a huge opportunity at KUNV. And like I said, that's the energy we've tried to maintain here. And I think we're doing a pretty good job so far, just in terms of maintaining the energy that we kind of accumulated and built on campus while we were students, and obviously now as professionals in the field. But you have a history, and first of all, you just kind of talked about it. You have a basketball, football, and baseball history. And I think live play-by-play is, by the way, the hardest thing to do in sports. Like,
Yeah.
I did it one time for like spring league baseball,
Okay.
and after like 3 games, I'm not gonna lie, I called my dad and was like, "Yeah,
Play-by-play.
not gonna work.
Play-by-play is not.
This isn't gonna work." Like, he always made the joke, like, "Well, what can't you do?" And I kind of made that call and was like, "So we figured it out. we figured out what's not for me, and it's definitely this." Ironically enough, you have a history with the fight game as well, right? So the funny part is, you guys will be reading a lot of Isaiah's work. If you guys are familiar with the Talk That Talk media company, and you guys are familiar with our website, talkthattalkradio.com, all of our stories up there. And Isaiah's been covering the Knights with me all season long so far, because this is your new Vegas Golden Knight beat writer for the Talk That Talk media company. Isaiah will be taking over very, very shortly. I told Isaiah my goal is to get him fully transitioned before my birthday, and my birthday is November 19th. So I think we're on pace for that. And we do have the Knights on this schedule as well. So Isaiah literally has his hand in a couple of different things. And because you're new, I'm not sure how much you remember from I started this out here. I'm not sure how much you remember from KUNV days. I'm not sure how much you've even paid attention to about the show now. We don't have them every episode, but depending on the season, we get a decent amount of them. But I have this segment called That's Out There Now. And it came around when we were at KUNV. Shout out to Alex White. And one of the things that I wanted to do was highlight the moments where people tweet things or say things and want to take it back.
Okay.
And usually in those moments, that's out there now.
Okay.
It's just out there.
Right.
So I have 3 of those today. And as I said before, a couple of these are touchy. Maybe all of them, depending on who you are. But we're going to start with Jackson Hayes first.
Ah, man. Okay.
And that video, I didn't know that. First of all, every video is dated, right? But I didn't know the date on it. I didn't know if it was recent. I didn't know how long ago it was. I'm not going to be one of those people to say that I don't care about the date, right? Because the only reason why I care is similar reasons that we've kind of got on the NFL about, right? How long did you guys know? Because we've always commended the NBA, me being one of those guys, in terms of I believe this is, especially having dealt with the other leagues, this is not a shot at anybody, but I think the NBA is the most well-oiled. I think this is the one that runs the best. This is the one that handles media the best, in my opinion. I think NFL is king, but I think that's different, right?
Right.
So I was a little perturbed to know that this is 3 years old, because even when something hits the media, the powers that be usually know about it the day before, or they know about it at least the day before, right? So they know about it prior to.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a 3-year runway for this.
But just a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you remember the initial report coming out 3 years ago, or you
I
didn't?
heard about it, but I don't
Okay.
remember it
Yeah.
being too much of a big thing.
It wasn't too big of a. It wasn't a big thing. It was reports and there was investigation like going into it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it kind of just went away. And I wonder now if it's because there wasn't enough maybe evidence or proof or something.
So you think the video just surfaced?
Those are always questions that I wonder. Like literally when I saw the video, I wonder, how did TMZ get this? Who had the video stored this whole time? How did it surface? How did TMZ get it? And it's just one of those things where I don't have the answers personally.
Right. I
Yeah,
don't think anybody has the answers right now.
but yeah, I do remember the report coming out a few years ago, and like you said, it kind of just went away. And then, Jackson Hayes was able to continue playing, and now this video is out.
And here's the thing, right? Because even in a moment like that, where the video comes out, I'm gonna be completely honest. You guys know how I feel. You guys know how, obviously, I run this company, right? So you guys know how myself and this company feels. We stand against domestic violence of any sort. In terms of me watching the video, I didn't know what the hell was going on for the first 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, he was.
All I hear is stuff
Mad.
breaking.
Yes, yeah.
And she's upstairs. So at the time, he wasn't upstairs. So I'm like, he's downstairs, clearly angry about something, but he's wrecking the entire house. And then I hear him tell her to get out. Now, when he goes upstairs, trigger warning for anybody who needs to hear it, because I told you guys this is a That's Out There Now. A couple of these are a little more particular. There's a moment when he goes upstairs and you can hear that, like, whatever the other guy is too,
Right,
in the house, you can hear him upstairs as well. And you hear him saying, "You're going to hurt your shoulder." So Jackson's not even near her in that moment. Well, near her, he's near her, but he's not with her in that moment, right? And then you hear glass break. That alone lends more credence to what we said before in terms of that initial report. Y'all knew something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things to where, and it's always weird now that you have like summer league in these situations, right? Because you meet these players and you have these opportunities to kind of learn, and especially a lot of these guys are young, right? You meet these guys, you learn these guys' stories rather. And for instance, I hate to bring this up, right? Because every time I talk to this person, it's always great relationships, and I do want this person to be able to move on from it. But the way that his situation was handled, we have to address, and that's the Miles Bridges situation. So when I think about that, coupled with what possibly the NBA knew about this and what they didn't let out, maybe we should start looking at the league with a different eye.
I was just thinking about that. That's probably the only other recent comparison I could think of. I if I had to take a guess,
Mhm.
like I said, don't know the answers.
Yeah.
Just taking a guess. Maybe Bridges got more in trouble because there was actual evidence.
It was video immediate. Well, we can't say immediately, right? We don't know when it came out, but there was video readily available.
And there was more. Yes, it was readily available.
Pictures, everything.
Yeah, and maybe they had the proof, the evidence to do something about it now, and maybe the Jackson. I don't.
Actual question, real quick, and this is not a shot at him. What did they do
with Bridges?
Mhm.
I mean, if I remember correctly, didn't he? I mean, he didn't play for a whole year or so, right? Or
was it an official suspension from the league, or was it like a team thing? We don't necessarily have to answer the question right now.
To be honest with you, I don't fully remember.
I know.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I don't fully remember. I just know that he was.
It's murky.
Yeah.
Why do we know every other situation, but that one is murky, right? And that, like I said before, it just lends a little more. It lends to our weariness that we have with the NFL, obviously, right? That we've been very adamant about. Like, I even feel uncomfortable even addressing the league about this because you guys don't fumble this often. And the funny thing is, as you can tell, I haven't sat here and said what the punishment should be for Jackson Hayes. Now, what I will say, I still, and this is just me being honest, even from that video, there's an angry man, clearly.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in that house, even still from the view of that camera. Now, let's get to the outside part of it really quick.
Okay.
First of all, spitting on somebody is assault. That is assault. I don't know if you guys need to know that. And we're here in Vegas. So just in terms of defending yourself, laws are different out here. So somebody said they didn't know which state this happened in either. And I don't know why that mattered either. But whatever. But the internet is weird. But I sat here, and shout out to Adrian Hernandez, who's actually in our comments right now, and he gave us the actual date. He said on April 14, 2023, Miles Bridges was suspended by the NBA for 30 games.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it wasn't a whole year.
The Hornets kept him out an entire year.
Okay.
Because you know what happened initially? There was an uproar about the amount of games. And there was actually a moment, I believe, where there was a contract. Either there was a contract year.
It was a contract.
It was something around that time. And this is not to be funny because now I wanted to just kind of add a little. You know what's funny? I talked to a counselor recently, and I wasn't even in a session. And somebody said something, and I made a joke, and she was like, "That's your trauma." And I just looked, and I was like, maybe I do joke my way out of things, right? So this is not to be funny in terms of the situation. You know how you get draft rights to somebody that's overseas, and you kind of stash them away.
Draft and stash, yeah.
They stashed Miles until the conversation just went away. And then they brought him back. And as much as I got love for Miles, just from our personal interactions and the conversations that we have had, that situation wasn't handled right. It just wasn't. So now with the NBA situation, or now the NBA has another situation on their hands in terms of this Jackson Hayes thing, in terms of how long they sat on it, whether they sat on it to begin with, right?
Right. Yeah.
And obviously what the penalty is going to be, because a lot of people are calling for the Lakers to kind of make a move. Maybe the league should lead by example. But again, we don't have to give this too much more thought than we've already given it right now, right? But I think one thing is interesting to mention. Outside, this is the one thing that made another thing that made me uncomfortable. And I'm not going to be that guy to be like, oh, that guy should have jumped in. We've seen those things go terribly bad as well. Regardless of what I may have done in situations like that, right? And the funny thing is, too, I've never had nothing like that occur around me. And I believe in a higher power, and I believe that's for a reason. I've never had nothing like that occur around me. What I did notice when they were outside talking, the gentleman that was on the phone, the moment he walked away, That's when Jackson kind of nudged her and then spit on her.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
That told me a lot in that moment. Because you waited until that gentleman walked. It's not like he jumped in anyway, but you did wait until he looked away.
Right.
It just makes me view a lot of different things now, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, the nudge. You ever been in school and like somebody's bothering you, or somebody hits you and you want to hit them back, but like you're walking in a straight line, but you walk a little wider than you typically do to nudge them? It was one of those. That also taught me something.
Yeah.
The situation itself is gross. I don't know what's gonna happen moving forward. I just, again, like I said before, man, these things are never okay either way. And at some point, I know we haven't heard the last of this, right? And I don't know if you have anything else on it. We can move on. I have two other that's out there now, and this is who knows how long this show could be at this present moment.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, like, because you brought it up, I am kind of wondering, because it's been a few days since the video was surfaced.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I've heard any announcement from as far as, I mean, except for like, oh, we're looking into it, investigation, but I haven't heard anything yet from the NBA or Lakers.
I have one other thing to say, and I will add to this really quick, and then we can get out of here and get on to the next thing. When he was in the house and he was breaking a bunch of stuff, that could be his house. Even if it's not his house, it's a problem, right? But let's say it's his house and he's breaking everything in it and he's asking her to leave. Now let my brain just work for a quick second. Let's just say Jackson Hayes tells a story about something that this young woman did that angered him to the point to where he asked her to leave and she wouldn't leave. I've told my friends this recently. You could have a situation where you are in the right, and the way that you handle it, you are now in the wrong.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. It definitely looks like that could be a possible.
Because that's the first thing I noticed. When I couldn't hear anything, I kept hearing him say, "Get out."
Yeah. That was.
You don't physically remove her.
That's what was weird too. Was he was saying "get out" first. And then when they went to being outside, then she's the one that was telling him, you should leave.
Well, not to sound like that either, but it sounded like her story, it could have, let's just say it did flip-flop when it got outside. You allowed it to get to this point.
But the big thing I heard her say was, I'm tired of you hitting me.
I'm not going to be a punching bag.
Yes. That was sounds like she's fed up with whatever their dynamic is. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's not a fun thing to really talk or discuss about.
And neither is this next thing, because another thing that I've said on this show plenty of times, I've told you guys as reporters, 90% of the time, right? You're not going to get into a kerfuffle, a scuffle, none of these different things with these players, right?
Oh, okay.
And the funny thing is, because I tend to add the little caveat, but I most recently added the caveat. It also depends on what you say. And I've always said this. The reason why I stand my ground is because I'm usually keeping it sports. And usually if I'm saying something, a report or something, you guys have kind of seen how I go about verifying certain stuff. I trust it. Like if I said it, I trust it. Yeah. So that's another thing, right? You have to be ready anytime you say something that teeters the line of in this case basketball, but their line of profession in terms of the sport in real life. Now the funny thing is, here's the funny part. Mentioning players, I've done a story, and I'll say it real quick. I've done a story with Dan Cunningham, since we're talking about sports, right? That's Lindy LaRock's husband. And I have Dan's number in my phone right now. I text Dan late at night before calling Lindy.
Okay.
It's a respect thing. Now, the funny thing is, some people may say, oh, that's a woman. Is that the reason why you do it? Not necessarily. Me and Lindy have the relationship where I can call Lindy. 10, hey, real quick, got a question. Here's why I do it. When I did that story with Dan, I told him I noticed that Lindy, when she's away from basketball, this don't stop. That has to be kind of nerve-wracking as a husband. And he's like, no, facts. Like, there's times we're in bed and I'm like, shut it off, please. Now's not the time. So because of that, I know their dynamic. This one is unique. Yeah, I'm going to text him first. He may be trying to get her away from basketball, and I may be dragging her back into it.
Okay. I see.
There's a dynamic here.
Yes.
So there's the interesting thing about sports, right? You can definitely tell these stories about people's families. You can talk to their families. You can touch their families.
Right.
There's a responsibility with it. So let's tell the story of Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid, and I think it's important to say the reporter's name because people have kind of avoided that. The reporter's name is Marcus Hayes, right? Writes for the Philadelphia Inquirer. And
can I say real fast?
Talk to me.
Yeah, you brought that up. I noticed that for the first few hours maybe of initially hearing about that situation, that story, all I kept hearing was Embiid altercation with a columnist. They just kept saying columnist. That's what all they were saying on the TV, like the video reports by Shams.
Yeah.
I had to look into
shout out to Shams. He's been smoking it, right?
Yeah. He's been doing it for a while, so good for him.
No, absolutely. But now I just think it's a different vigor with it. But that's just
100%. But I actually had to dig into the actual article published by ESPN. So not just like the video, the headline grabbing stuff. I had to actually dig into the article, and then that's when I saw the actual name of the columnist. I just thought you brought up a good point there. Like, they're kind of quiet to say who the person is. So you actually had to dig to find who it was.
And another thing that I find interesting about the situation is similar to the Jackson Hayes thing, right? This may be a situation. He's talking about availability. Marcus Hayes.
Right.
This may be one of them situations that I just said you may have been well within your right. You were right in this situation until you were wrong.
Yeah.
The way that you handled it was wrong. And the funny thing is, shout out to Willie Ramirez. Shout out to Willie because Willie pointed it out to me at the Knights game, right?
Okay.
Willie walks up to me. He hits me on the back and he was like, "Did you hear about Embiid?" You know me, the world is crazy. I looked at him and was like, "Is he all right?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, he's pissed off." And he was like, "Look at your phone." All right. Looked at my phone.
That's how you initially
and I saw what it was, right?
Okay.
So as we're leaving the press conference, Bruce gets through talking. I'm walking out. Willie's sitting down to do a story. I'm hitting Willie on the back. I said, "Did you read the column?" I said, because I haven't read the full column, but somebody, thank God, right, posted a screenshot of what Embiid was angry about.
Yeah.
And essentially, Marcus said, and this is the wild part, essentially Marcus said he talked about wanting to leave a legacy for his son, right?
Okay.
Talked about just having a son, wanting to kind of leave a legacy for him, a son that's named after his deceased brother.
Gotcha.
And essentially, you can't leave a legacy for either one of them if you're not available. There is a way to say that, and it's not that way.
Yeah.
It's not that way. We have a lot of power with this. We have a lot of power with this. We have a lot of power with this computer that I'm not going to lift up. Right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of power as reporters, as journalists. I'll tell you guys a quick story really quick. Another marriage type situation. It wasn't marriage at the time, but I did a story with Darren Waller about the Aces, about being an Aces super fan.
Okay.
Asked me his favorite player. He said Kelsey. Cool, right? I'm sitting there at the post-game presser. It's Kelsey and Asia. Kelsey, Asia, might have been Chelsea or Jackie too. And I'm sitting there, and I have this story in my back pocket, and I'm like, I need something from her. I wait till it ends. And I didn't build the rapport with this team to a degree. So as she's walking to the back, I meet her around the back. It was like, "Hey, Kels, real quick, let me ask you this question. Did a story with Darren, and you saw her instantly turn like
light up?
pale, bro. No, opposite.
Oh,
She turned pale and froze. And I was like, I did a story with him, asked him his favorite player. He said it was you, whatever.
Uh-huh.
She smoked it. She handled it like a G. She was
Okay.
like, it's two players respecting each other, blah, blah, blah. Right?
Yes.
You think I would have got that same answer if she was sitting up there?
No.
Kelsey would have looked at me and been like, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this? Where are you going? Okay, thank God. Because I've been around Darren, I've been around her, right? So she didn't know where I was going with that. I'm not even finna give her a chance to think that I'm about to play with her in this press conference. I've built enough rapport with you to where I'm gonna catch you around back.
Yeah.
We can have this conversation away from people.
Right.
I did the same thing with her Achilles. When I was getting ready to ask her about Achilles, I tore mine. I hate seeing them.
Yeah.
With all due respect, shout out to my friends, and I'm kind of ranting on the show, but shout out to my friends. When people tear their Achilles, they used to send it to me. I had to tell my friends, can you stop doing this? Like, this is not fun, right? Anyway, I say all of this to say, as reporters, we have so much power in dictating a situation, in dictating how a player reacts. This particular time, he dictated how Joel reacted off the court. And I'm going to be completely honest, guys. This is one of the very few times I'm going to take my hands off the situation. And the one thing that I've been very, very consistent in, you can't tell me how to react. And bigger than that, because I had a situation happen this summer where I literally told the person, I had a social media spat, right? And something got said in one of those tweets that I'm not going to say it was a threat, right? But I deemed it to be a quote unquote challenge, right? And from that, I told that person, you don't dictate, like you can't take it to a place and then dictate when you take it back. What I kept telling that person was, you took it here, I determine how long it stays. That's the rule for me. You pushed it past this limit, I determine how long I keep it here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have every right to have that response about it. Like, obviously, and that's a big problem. Like you said, we have the power, with our phones and our pens. Unfortunately, with social media, everyone kind of has like power, whether they deserve it or not, to speak however they want, just because they're behind a desk or behind a phone. So yeah, I mean, someone's, like you said, it wasn't necessarily a threat, but a challenge, and they want to speak to you, or not just you, but a person in particular in any type of way. Like, you have the right to pick and choose how you want to respond to that, how you want to go about it.
This is why players don't give us their personal information.
Yeah. I mean, it's tricky.
The only reason why we know Joel's son is named after his deceased brother is because of Joel.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Your history is the fight game, right? And I remember somebody asked, and this is very, very interesting because it kind of goes back to the question I had before, because I like Anthony Lionheart Smith, right?
Okay.
And I remember somebody asked him about like battling depression or something like that.
Gotcha.
But it was at one of those press conferences.
Okay.
And I didn't care for Anthony's response. And as I sat with it, I was like, in the back of my mind, my opponent is like 3 chairs over from me. I'm in warrior mode. I kind of don't want to talk about a weakness right now.
Yeah.
Now's not really the time to talk about that. But one of the things that he said in that moment was, this is why fighters don't tell you guys anything. And I think what happens is, and Marcus Hayes, to my knowledge, isn't a new reporter, right? So he's been around, but I think if you asked him if he would have worked, he probably is one of those reporters like myself who doubles down in his opinion. I bet if you asked him today if he would word that differently, he probably would.
Oh, 100%. Because in that article, they said that he actually apologized to him in the locker room when he confronted him about it. he apologized. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," but at that point, Embiid was too upset. It was already past it for him that he's like, "No, I don't want your apology." Uh, like, and then that's what snowballed into them exchanging, I guess, yelling at each other, and then potentially it growing into a physical situation in the locker room. But 100%, like you said, if you asked him, the columnist, to word it differently, if he could do it again, I'm 100% he would.
Dog, my brother is here. My brother is here, like literally with me still. Like, I see my brother probably, I should see him more. We see him a couple times a year when I drive out to LA. You can't talk about Jarrell and he's here. That's why I said you can't tell Joel how to act.
Yeah.
I don't know what that trigger does. Dog, I just lost my dog in December. That's a trigger. Like, in different ways, you get me?
Yeah.
You don't know how people handle things.
Right.
So I don't know, man. We've definitely done our return the way that we've meant to do it. I don't know if you have anything to do today, but we may extend this show if you're down to do it. Maybe extend it a little bit because we do have our final that's out there now. If you're up for it, it's Derek Carr, man. This one is probably going to be the shortest one, right? Hospital balls was a word that was going around a lot yesterday. Chris Olave suffered another concussion.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks do have a responsibility, right? Tom Brady talked about it. He's talked about it before. But to see an entire locker room, essentially, I don't want to say entire. That's doing it. That's cutting it.
But to
see certain figures in that locker room essentially hop off shit when it comes to Derek Carr. First of all, as a person who's defended Derek Carr, I say this all the time. My mom used to say it all the time, right? Every teacher can't be wrong. Like, I hate to say it, Derek. It happened here in Vegas. If it happened in New Orleans too, it's like, all right, to a certain degree, we got to address something, but still doesn't mean that I have to like the way that this team is going about it. Kalen Saunders more than most for me, right? And I want to triple check that I got the right name. I'm pretty sure I do, but I want to triple check that I have the right name.
Okay.
But to see the rant of tweets, and I'm gonna be completely honest, it is Kalen Saunders, and I'm gonna be completely honest. This is what I believe. I believe that there's their strategy in blowing up the place. Trade deadline's coming up. It wouldn't shock me to see Kalen Saunders be traded. Right? I think that was his way of being like, I'm trying to get out of this situation.
Right.
But to see, you could say whatever you want about Mike Thomas if you want. Especially with him no longer being on the Saints.
Mhm.
But and this is what I've had conversations about with players in the league. When you have an openness in terms of disrespecting another player, that's never a good thing. And I heard what Derek said, obviously at the podium, right? And he handled it the way he's supposed to handle it. He handled it the way that he's proven himself to handle situations like this.
Mhm.
This is really bad. I don't know what happens from here. This is really bad. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, that whole situation is messed up, and yeah, I mean, like, for starters, the first thing I saw this morning when I woke up was that they fired Dennis Allen. So,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, like you said, you know, people are jumping off ship. If things, trades possibly could happen. You know, head coach already got let go. I don't know. It's tricky. Yeah, I don't know what led to some people voicing their displeasure with Derek. I don't know. I don't know if there was a change of attitude in the locker room when he missed some games. That
You know what else I'll say real quick, since you want to say that? I was a person that said that Derek Carr was going to lose his job to Spencer Rattler, and I thought it was just going to be one of those things to where the locker room leans more towards Spencer.
Mhm.
Spencer has had to play better in order to do it. So, for instance, you don't hear the offensive line talking too much, at least that I've seen.
Mhm.
But I think the last game that Spencer played was the starter. Spencer got beat to hell. So, not to sound like that, he couldn't play well.
Yeah.
So I could see if he was lighting it up behind him, and then it's like,
Yes.
all right, Derek, you didn't came back and you throwing picks after pick, or you throwing hospital balls. Let's get the young blood some. He ain't even lighting it up.
No, he's not. So yeah, I wasn't around yet when you were talking about Derek losing his job to Spencer, like that's
Uh-huh.
as your prediction.
Yeah.
But what did lead to you making that prediction? Was it just something you saw in Spencer, or you kind of felt like Derek in New Orleans wasn't going to work out?
No. I actually liked Derek in New Orleans originally. I
Okay.
thought it would be one of those things to where the conversation would start over the preseason,
Okay.
and I thought Derek wouldn't play much during the preseason.
So
And because of that, Spencer would be able to kind of shine a little bit.
Okay.
And the first sign, and as you guys know how I feel like Derek is one of those quarterbacks that you're going to get good, you're going to get bad, similar to kind of a Dak Prescott, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Jameis Winston.
don't you do that. I like Jameis.
Do you?
I do like Jameis, damn it. Watch it.
Uh,
Didn't I just say watch it? But I felt like Derek was going to start the season well. And unfortunately, I felt like the first sign of him being Derek from Vegas, everybody was kind of going to be like, I mean, Spencer's in the back.
Yeah.
And those whispers will start. This right here, what happened yesterday, apologizing to the city of New Orleans, which I have no problem with, right? But you're doing it. Your defensive tackle was saying, throw me in a quarterback. I've seen teammates fight for less.
Yeah.
Now we can get to sports, right? Speaking of teammates fighting, I'm not reporting anything, guys. No teammates have fought, but the energy in and around the Raiders, weird, man.
Yeah.
I was typing my story yesterday after their 41-24 loss to Cincinnati, and it's their fourth loss this season of 14 or more. It's their fifth straight loss. They say 2-2 seems so long ago, doesn't it?
A very long time ago.
I don't want to say bigger than that, but do you know the last time? I don't know if you read the story. Do you know the last time that they've lost 5 games?
In a whole
5
season?
straight games. Excuse me.
5 straight games.
Even Josh McDaniels didn't do it. And this isn't necessarily a shot at AP, right? Somebody, real quick, before you even answer that, somebody asked AP if the Raiders are better now than when he took over. I thought it was a very good question.
They asked him that?
Yes. And he said the record would show otherwise. The record would show that's not the case. Football mind, right? He knew exactly where to go. He had every right to be like, this also ain't the same team that I inherited. But whatever,
Right.
whatever. That's fine. Cool. But 2018 is that answer. That was under John Gruden. That was a 4-12 year. That was his first year of taking over, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
That was when he shipped out Khalil. That was when he essentially stripped the cupboard bare.
Okay. I remember that now. Okay.
So my question today is, should the Raiders just strip the cupboard bare?
I want to say yes. Actually, it's kind of funny. The last time I was in the studio here with you and I was off to the side, speaking off camera, you guys had a pretty good in-depth conversation about the Raiders.
Okay.
'Cause I don't remember. I can't remember if that was either right before they traded Devontae. Oh, it was right before they traded him. So yeah, and I was like, oh man, I could kind of go in on this a little bit. But like I said, everyone has their opinions. Like like I have my opinions about the Raiders and what they should do, and like some things I disagree or agree with on what they did. And I could be right, I could be wrong. I don't personally care what like we could have a discussion about it, but yeah, man, it's tough. I think about what happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, this starts 2 years ago when they decided to go with McDaniel's, and I don't even remember the guy who was the GM with him, but when they decided
Dave Ziegler.
when they brought those two guys in, it set the franchise back another few years because it seemed like it was out of left field. Nobody in the building or the fan base, I don't think really agreed with it, and the results showed. Like McDaniel's didn't have the locker room behind him; it was shaky. He they do him a favor by bringing Devontae because he wants to play with Derek Carr, and then they ship out Derek Carr. So that was step number one.
After 1 year.
That was step number one that it wasn't going to work for Devontae and with the Raiders because he said he wanted to play with his friend Derek Carr, and then you get rid of the guy he wants to play with. So of course he was going to be upset. Like you said, or I don't know if that was you, that was someone else, but that Netflix doc, they showed him last
I
season.
think that might have been me.
Okay, maybe I heard it from two people then.
That's
But
funny.
but yeah, there's a moment where he literally says like, "Oh man, I don't know how much longer I could do this for." So yeah, the writing was on the wall that he wasn't happy here, and I know he tried his best, because the media is so ridiculous and overbearing, and they could spit stories out like crazy. But he tried his best to say like, "No, like I'm trying to make it work here. I'm happy to be a Raider. This is my team that I grew up rooting for," and it seemed like he did like living in Vegas, kind of based off that Netflix show as well. Like it looked like he had a really nice house and he was growing his family here, and he had the whole Taco Bell Connects thing too. But at the end of the day, like you wanna be on a not just a winning team in particular, but maybe like a winning environment, right? And I felt like maybe they weren't the environment of the team, the buzz just wasn't speaking like positive. And I after a while, like maybe as much as he wanted to make it work here, he wanted to play for his childhood team. He had a limit where he's like, yeah, I got to get out of here, and he did. He got traded. I kind of went off tangent there a little bit, but
No, I'm
uh,
just ready to jump in and ask. So, what does that mean about Max Crosby?
man, I think right now,
If I'm the Raiders, there's no way in hell.
yeah.
There's just one. Respectfully, there's one guy I'm keeping.
Oh, you're asking from a Raider
And
standpoint or Max's mindset standpoint?
I kind of wanted to hear Max's mindset
Okay.
from you because but that's why I gave you the Raiders one. Because if I'm
Right.
the Raiders, sure, if he's getting frustrated, I feel like now I gotta like make sure I figured out a quick way to turn this around because he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild, right?
Mhm.
But if I'm the Raiders, I do believe AP is a culture hire. We talked about Josh McDaniels and why a lot of people didn't agree. A lot of people didn't feel like he could fit the culture, right?
Yeah.
Nobody questions if AP does.
Right.
Now, I feel like that's a culture hire, which is why I feel like a quick firing of AP is not necessarily a good idea.
No, it's not. It's not a good.
Which is why I think AP coupled with Max, for me, is never going to change. Like, at the very least, it's not changing right now.
Yeah. Okay. So if I had to take a guess, if I'm in Max's mindset right now, he doesn't want to leave either. And I know now people are trying really hard to get him to say he wants to leave, and they want to throw all these rumors like, oh, let's put him in Detroit because Aiden Hutchinson is out. Like,
And he's from Michigan.
yes, but I mean, the guy is loyal to the team, the franchise, because they took a chance on him when a lot of people didn't.
Absolutely.
I mean, right away, I don't even know how early into his career he did, but he already got the Raider logo
Yeah.
tatted on him. Like it's on him forever. And I think he's really entrenched in it. I mean, I really do think he loves it here. He was able to build and kind of like off Darren Waller as well.
Mhm.
Got the motivation, the courage to seek guidance and get help with his own personal issues.
Mhm.
And I think he built a good community here. I mean, the fans love him. They
Every
love
time
him.
I talk to Max, I tell him all the time, like, the community, like you said before, but the fan base absolutely has fully engulfed themselves in whatever Max is selling. Like, it's a aura that comes with him.
Mhm.
And like I said, it's a culture thing, right? Because it fits the Vegas culture, it fits the Raider culture. Now, it's hard to see this and the funny thing is, somebody asked AP about it yesterday too about the defense not playing well, right? The numbers don't look good, right? When in some of these games, and people are gonna think that I'm just like an AP apologist, but I just feel like some of these things are just
Out of his control.
obvious, and no, they're in his control, but they're obvious and are right here in front of you, right? The defense's job is to get the ball back to the offense as quickly as possible.
Right.
How many times y'all gonna go 3-0?
Yeah.
How many times we gonna leave the field without points?
Yeah. That's where I say some stuff was out of his control. Like, I get it. Okay, so I'm backtracking a lot here,
Nah, I'm not mad
but
at it.
in the off season, it was blatantly there. The fans want AP. Max, your best player, wants AP. Other
I'd say
teams,
wanted AP.
they wanted him. Me personally, I knew there was no way they could possibly not hire him, but you had Bill Belichick of coaching free agent. The fans would have hated that. And
Going from a New England guy to another New England guy, oh, they would have
I know they would have been really upset.
Missed
But I mean, we're talking about a guy who's won the most, right? And then on the other hand, you had Jim Harbaugh, who was coming off, what he did for Michigan. It was like a decade-long mission, but he finally did it, right? There was 2 other coaching free agents there, and what bugged me, because I am, quick story. I'm a fan of the Rams and the Raiders.
Don't know
So
how that works.
I mean, we could talk about that later.
I got you.
But as a Raider fan, I wanted them to at least interview the other 2 guys. At least hear what they have to say.
I don't think he was getting Bill regardless. That's just me. I think Bill, unless the situation.
No,
is super
Bill was
dynamic.
more the reach.
Yeah, he
Definitely
was not.
more the reach. But Jim, I knew I wanted them to at least talk to Jim, and here's why: because everyone was already pointing him to going to the Chargers, and I didn't want, like, the worst thing you could do is not even give the guy an interview and then watch him go to a division rival, and it played out exactly
You
like
gotta
that.
see him twice a year.
And it played out exactly like that. So that's what made it even more irritating for me as a fan of the Raiders. But everyone wasn't listening to me on that. They're just like, no, we got to get AP because he's awesome and he's a Raider and blah, 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 which I get. Like you said, it was a culture hire. But, like, the fact that they didn't even give the other guys a talk, like an interview or talking, and I didn't like that personally. And I'm probably the only one that has that opinion.
Nah, I mean,
But-
you may be one of the few that actually paid attention to that, right? Because I
Yeah.
thought Harbaugh was actually something that we had to worry about. When you said there was no way that they weren't going to hire AP, I beg to differ. I beg to differ because you never can be too sure with the Raiders. First of all,
I just said that because, man, Max even like that's the only thing that kind of was like, come on, because he was like, I want to be here for life, and then he quickly said, if they don't hire AP, I want to trade. So,
that's how you force your
Yeah.
employer's hand.
right.
This is what I want, and you know what I mean to this team and to this locker room and to this fan base and to this community. You gotta make this happen, right? So in terms of making it happen, we kind of knew that something may be on the horizon, right?
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of adamant that I don't see AP's head rolling in this season.
No, me neither. It's year 1.
Well, and now I'm gonna add this caveat that I added one other time before.
Uh-huh.
If the Raiders lose out,
Oh, well. Wait. I'm sorry. Real fast though. Didn't they fire their offensive coordinator today or
so
yesterday?
yeah, so as I'm closing up the bar last night,
Uh-huh.
my phone goes off. I check my phone, and the notification says that the Las Vegas Raiders have fired Luke Getsy, James Craig, and Rich Scangarello, which is their offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, and quarterback coach, last night. I have a question, just like a completely random question.
Uh-huh.
Would you rather be fired first thing in the morning or like last thing before you go to bed?
Just rapid fire. I'm gonna say before I go to bed, because
You're not gonna mess up my sleep. I don't know, dog.
I mean, okay, like, well, let's say you go to bed and you wake up the next day. I'm about to go to work.
I'm hot, bro.
I'm about to go to work, and then they drop that on you.
I'm hot, bro. No, you know what?
I don't know. That's
I don't-
rapid fire. Like,
That's why I asked,
yeah,
right? And this is not obviously these guys are well compensated and not taking a shot at nobody that's losing their job, right? But that's the first thing I thought about. We got that Josh McDaniels notification. I was healing from a hand surgery,
Okay.
and I'm over here trying to type a story with one hand, like Josh McDaniels got. I'm like, the Raiders don't play around. They will call you at 11, 12 p.m. and be like, hey, so
No, they don't. I mean, do you remember how Jack Del Rio got fired?
not right offhand, but I know it wasn't a ceremonious way.
It was like less than an hour after they lost the game.
Was it on the flight?
No, well, man, I don't
I
think
think
so.
Jerry did that before.
So what happened? Okay, so my uncles back in California, they're the reasons why I'm a Raider fan.
Okay.
They went to that game. It was against the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. My uncle says I was barely in the parking lot. I didn't even leave the parking lot yet, and they fired Jack Del Rio. Like, it was quick. And then after Jack was John Gruden, and then but yeah, it's tough. Like, they hired AP, and I have faith in him still. This is only year one.
Yeah,
Only year one, but also, like, yes, he has a responsibility, right? Like, he needs, like, some of this is his doing because he's the head coach overseeing things. But at the same time, I got to think that it can't be all on him because he's not the one that hired Getsy. He's not the one. I mean, maybe he played a part. I don't know, but like, more than me, because you've been around the team, right?
Yeah, those are your guys.
Okay.
Period.
Well,
They're on your coaching staff, so those are your guys, and that's he has to answer for that, right?
Because when he officially became head coach, they hired the GM that was from the Chargers.
Tom Telesco.
He came from the Chargers. So then, yes, you're right. Those are his guys. Now, as a GM standpoint, they did not make the moves to improve the quarterback situation going into the season. Like, I love.
I think they really had a lot more in the Gardner Minshew bag than most Raider fans want to believe.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I love Gardner Minshew from a personality standpoint. As a player, he's like, he gives you highs and he also gives you lows, and I knew that going in. And Aiden O'Connell, like, this is only year 2 for him, but I don't see him being a starting quarterback personally. So I just felt
Aiden or Gardner being one. Probably neither. I don't know.
No, like, I don't. Yeah, neither of them are really a one in my opinion. But if I had to pick between the two of them, I was fully on Gardner because he was the one that actually has more experience. Like, he almost took the Colts to the playoffs last year.
I thought, and this is my humble opinion, and right, I don't get paid to make these decisions, but I always felt, and this is why some people may feel like Gardner is a career backup.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was easier to go from Aiden to Gardner. Gardner has been used to being that guy that we call on when our starter went down.
Yes.
And, go out there and be competitive. And we've seen Gardner in situations where he's had to be the number one guy.
Yeah.
And throughout the course of a season, there's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I just felt like in the beginning of the year, it's easier to start with the guy that has started the last 7 games for you, 6 games for you, whatever it was for Aiden.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then if things go left, you go to the guy who is a proven backup that can go win you games, right? And I'm not even gonna lie, heading into SoFi, right? We're trying to figure out what it's gonna look like. And we found out, I believe, days kind of leading into it about I think it was right after the last preseason game, that it would be Gardner. And in that moment, I was just like,
this is not good.
If he doesn't light it, and what I really thought was gonna happen, he would light it up week 1. You know how Raider fans are. I thought everybody was gonna be like, oh, the sky is the limit. And then he would have like a hard crash in week 2. And
it went the opposite.
In a weird way, it kind of did, right? Like, you turn to Aiden, even if you thought at some point you had to turn to Aiden, you turn to Aiden way quicker than you thought you would. So to see the offensive line coach get fired, the offensive coordinator get fired, and the quarterbacks coach get fired, it shouldn't shock anybody. See, this is the team that's 2-7. They're tied for the worst record in the league.
And that was my thing too. Like you said, a lot more than me about the team being around him. And like you said, Getsy was AP's guy under his staff, and he has to take some responsibility for that. But I don't know how much of an influence AP had in telling Tom, like, yeah, let's hire Luke. But he was coming out being the offensive coordinator for the Bears, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what are we doing? He was the offense coordinator of a team who couldn't do anything. So I didn't like the move, but then they were saying that he has a prior relationship with Devontae from their time with the Packers. So I'm like, okay, I guess I understand it now. It makes that kind of sense. But yeah, I mean, Devontae's not here no more, and
That's another reason why I thought it was kind of easier to pull the trigger on in that sense.
yeah, it's just tough. In the offseason, they hired him. They didn't do the best job of trying to bring in a quarterback to be Devontae's quarterback. We had 2 backups, and we had to figure out how that was going to go for the season. So it's just tough. That's why I say it's not fully on AP, but I just got to think that they got to do a better job of trying to build the right pieces around. And as far as Max goes, I mean, it was a big blow is losing Christian Wilkins for the rest of the year, because that was a big thing, right? Like, oh man, those 2 guys on the same line together. But when he goes down, obviously it's going to affect the defense. But all in all, it's a rough year, but it's year 1.
Yeah, the
Great.
problem is, and this is the conversation I had at the bar last night with somebody. Even if you didn't expect the Raiders to be good, you didn't expect the Raiders to be this bad.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Or
that's the issue.
Yeah.
That's what it ultimately boils.
So right now they only have 2 wins.
They're 2-7.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think they would be this bad. That's true. Yeah.
The schedule has been released for the 2025 season for the Vegas Nighthawks. Of course, the Vegas Nighthawks, a team that won 11 games last season. Franchise high, right? Franchise record 11 games. First postseason berth. What am I missing? They think they started the season 7-0, 5-6-0, something wild like that. Head coach Mike Davis brings back your IFL MVP quarterback in Jerome Johnson. This team is looking to retool, right? This team is looking to win. The season kicks off on a Monday. In San Diego against the Strike Force, March 31st. I do want to let you guys know that could be a Jericho Flowers revenge game. Jericho Flowers recently signed this offseason with the San Diego Strike Force. So former UNLV product, now in San Diego, and now going to take on the Vegas Nighthawks in week 1 of the IFL season. Do you watch indoor football?
No. I have not watched indoor football.
That is probably the hardest sport to live tweet.
Because it's just so fast paced, right?
It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, like I used to watch the Arena Football League.
Yeah,
back in the 2000s.
Yeah,
because it was starting to get the buzz. I mean, they even had a video game. It's like they were starting, so they had buzz.
I had that game too.
My uncles had the game, so I remember playing it. But yeah, that game so fast paced. And I know in recent years they try to bring it back, and then they have the league that the Vegas team is on. And when I was living in Phoenix, because Phoenix has a team there too, so I was familiar with it, but I never did get to watch it. Like I don't know if they have like a television deal situation, or it's just all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody's region, but I'm pretty sure it's YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably why. I mean, if it was on like TV, maybe. Yeah. But also another thing too, though, is usually after the NFL season's over, like I shift my focus to basketball. But I mean, now that I'm back in Vegas, because I don't know if we didn't mention earlier, but I did just move back here last month. So I want to be in tune with the teams that are here. So I'll definitely be peeping now that I'm in town.
Yeah, man. And speaking of teams that are here, teams that are staples here, right? This is a team that you know well, but UNLV football is currently idle, right? They're on an idle week.
Right.
But they've moved up in the standings. So I want to give you guys an update really quick on the standings, really quick. I told you guys a week ago, on Monday, that almost hit the Raiders. That UNLV football, that the Rebels were 5th in the Mountain West. Today, this morning, as of now, right now, they're 3rd in the Mountain West. They are still sitting at 6-2 on the year. They are 2-1 in the conference. They're looking up at Boise. Of course, we know that they're looking up at Boise State, right?
Correct.
I believe in number 12 Boise now, right?
Yeah.
I believe in number 12 Boise State. They are 7-1, 4-0 in the conference. The other team you got to worry about, you got Colorado State sitting on top of UNLV. They're 6-3. They are one game worse in the loss column, but they're perfect in the conference. They're 4-0 in the Mountain West. They are equal with Boise, technically tied for first in terms of win-loss record in the conference. Barry Odom talked about it, right? And he said he's not trying to get ahead of himself, but he kind of highlighted what is still on the table for this program. A 10-win season, a chance to win out, and a chance to still compete for the Mountain West Championship if they were to get some help. I went ahead and checked Colorado State's schedule. I want to do it again right here while we're live.
Yeah.
Because UNLV would need Colorado State at some point to lose a game, right? You tell me if UNLV is going to get Colorado State to lose a game. And I don't know how we didn't talk about this early in the year. Maybe because they probably won some games early that we didn't anticipate they would win. They did beat San Jose State by 7. But the final 3 games of the year is at home against Wyoming, a 2-7 Wyoming team.
Okay.
On the road against a 5-4 Fresno team. At home against a 2-6 Utah State team.
That's the last 3 games for them. I'm looking at that Fresno State game.
Everybody is. Everybody's banking on Fresno State or hoping that Utah State pulls a rabbit out of the hat final week of the season. But if UNLV needs one of those games to go in their favor,
it's got to be that game. I mean, but that's the thing about, like you said, and it doesn't look promising for those other teams because they're only 2-win squads. But that's the thing about conference play. You just never know if it's on the road, right? Or wait, that Fresno State game, is that the only one that's on the road, or the Wyoming game's on the road too?
They're at home.
Okay. So I mean, at home it's a little better for Colorado State, but also maybe another thing to look at is are some of those games not on Saturdays? Are they on Fridays?
Let's go look.
Or I mean, because sometimes those Friday games, teams could be affected.
Ooh, both games against the 2-win teams are on Fridays.
Like that's the thing. Like I think you see it more.
And you get a 5 p.m. kickoff. I'm happy you said that.
Yeah.
Wyoming is 5 p.m. on a Friday. Fresno State is Saturday at 7:30.
Okay.
And then at home against Utah State, it's a Friday at 12:30.
Okay. That's
might be onto something.
That's early.
You might be on
for a Friday game. That's really early. Is it on Thanksgiving or that week of Thanksgiving?
Is it right after that?
Maybe that's why. Is that Black Friday game?
I think it is.
Okay, that makes sense.
Between
Hey man, Black Friday game after Thanksgiving.
Maybe we get a little luck on our side.
Yeah, if Fresno State can't do the job, maybe that's the game. But
how about Boise? Boise has 4 games left. They're home against Nevada. I'll give you guys records too. They're home against 3-7 Nevada.
Okay.
They are
on the road.
On the road against 5-3 San Jose State. They're on the road against 2-7 Wyoming, and then they're at home against a 4-4 Oregon State team.
You see the time of that game? 9 a.m. 9 a.m. on Black Friday for them on that one.
And
that's interesting.
Boise has shown certain moments this season they just absolutely walked through San Diego State recently, but they've shown, obviously have 1 loss on the season, but they've shown areas where they're beatable, right?
Yes.
And I think actually I had this conversation, I think, on this platform. I think because people are laughing at the Pac-12 because it's no longer, right? Essentially right now. Go look at the seasons that Washington State and Oregon State are having. If Oregon State were to be the second team to beat Boise, who's moving to the Pac-12, by the way.
Right.
Technically speaking, you lost to Oregon, you lost to Oregon State. Those are 2 staples. I don't want to say staples, right? But those are 2 well, I'll say pillars because you need the pillars to build the entire conference, right?
Yeah.
You're dealing with 2 pillars of the Pac-12. So in terms of, we talk about this field kind of writing, the stories kind of write themselves, both of their losses would be to teams that they would see annually, essentially, moving forward now. So I don't know that Boise can't lose again, right? So now what if everybody at the top got 1 loss? Because now San Diego State has a couple, Fresno State has a couple, San Jose State has a couple.
Right.
if everybody's sitting at the top of one, now you have a similar situation to what you had last year.
Yeah. I just want to double check with you
Okay.
for the Mountain West Championship game. It's just the top 2 teams, right? There's no divisions. It's not Mountain and
No, so it's top 2 teams, but what happened last year?
Last
I think
year was-
everybody had 2 losses, right?
yeah. Last year was really weird where it ended up being like a coin toss or like
It was
some
that
weird-
San Jose State. That's what they say. It was San Jose State. That loss to San Jose State like really shook everything up, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean in terms of this Oregon State game. If Oregon State loses or wins rather,
Beats Boise State. Yeah.
and Colorado State drops one of these next 3 games,
Yeah. We're still in there.
UNLV has to obviously take care of their business, but
Exactly.
that is something to kind of pay attention to because everybody would have one loss. You would assume, regardless of the fact Boise is going, right? So I think then you just kind of it becomes a resume type thing, and UNLV has wins over Houston. Houston hasn't turned into much, but
You see, that's what hurts too. Is like
still power conference wins.
so that's
Let me
still
look at Colorado State.
that's still good then, right? Like even though both Houston and Kansas ended up having the seasons that we didn't think they would have, 2 wins on the road. By the way, both of them on the road to Big 12 teams. That still carries weight.
So
right?
their non-conference schedule is a little it's up and down in comparison to UNLV's because they do have North Colorado on their schedule. UTEP isn't nothing to sneeze at per se, right? They did lose to Oregon State, but they lost the rest of their losses. They lost to Colorado and Texas. Again, competition matters, right? Now,
Yeah.
in those games, they got absolutely smoked. Texas beat them 52-0, and then Colorado beat them 28-9. So, I mean, that's what you got outscored 80-9 in those 2 games.
Right.
We saw what UNLV and Boise was able to do. Maybe they're able to put on another classic, but I just think it's more for the conference to look at in terms of what's possible if all of these guys have one loss, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean,
talk to me.
I want to be.
I take that back. San Diego State has 1 conference loss.
I want to be absolutely positive here with UNLV. I like obviously you don't want to get ahead of yourselves. You want to do things the right way. And Barry Odom, I think he has done everything the right way so far. Like he wants the team to have a 1 game at a time mindset. So that's as far as the team goes. But me on the outside looking in, I definitely have confidence seeing how the team has played this year or the past 2 seasons now actually, but really this year in particular, I could see him winning out the rest of the regular season. Now there's going to be I think the challenges will probably be on the road against San Jose State, a Friday night 7 p.m. game. That could be maybe a challenge there because UNLV 6-2, San Jose State's 5-3. So there's only 1 game difference there on the record. And then obviously we always know how rivalry games are. The game against Reno. Hopefully we give it to them. But like you said, rivalry games. But in my opinion, those are the 2 that like we have to really hope that they strive over. Those
Right.
could be obstacles in my opinion. But I could see them winning out.
I could absolutely see them winning out because, like you just said, over the last 2 seasons, they appear to be everything that we were taught UNLV football wasn't. Right?
Yes.
Since the time that we were in this program, they lose all the games
All the
that
time.
they they lose all the games that they are that they are supposed to lose for sure. But even in those games that they should win, this Howard,
I was
it's
there.
just
Never
it's
forget.
it's just
Never
a little shaky, right?
I
It makes
thought-
you feel away.
I talked to Kalen Newton after that game.
It-
Yeah, I never forget that game.
Ran all over us.
Yeah.
We had a real problem defending running quarterback, but that's another
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
that's another story. But I'm gonna be honest, just from recent memory, right? And this is where I've been wrong this season before, and I'm cool with being wrong again. I'm not saying UNLV is gonna lose this upcoming week.
To Hawaii?
Road games in Hawaii.
I didn't even factor that. Yeah, that's true. Like, even though it's Hawaii, it is on the road.
I have to double and triple check what the past couple of records were. I'm not sure if Tony won his last one in Hawaii, and that's what cost Marcus Arroyo his job, that game in Hawaii.
The game in Hawaii. Okay.
So
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point, though. Yeah, I didn't even factor that it's a road game. Like I looked at it. I'm like, oh, they're playing Hawaii.
exactly.
I didn't even think it is a road game that could affect them. So yeah, that is something to think about. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well,
Went over my head on that one.
we got 2 home games tonight because college basketball is back. That means UNLV is back. I have I don't want to say a long night ahead of me, but I'm leaving here and I'm headed straight to the
UNM?
campus of UNLV. I will be at the Cox
UC.
Pavilion for the first hour and a half, and then I'm headed next door
Mhm.
where the Running Rebels will kick off their season. Well, I'll say tip off their season officially from the Thomas and Mack Center. Jerry Tarkanian court. I'm excited, man. I'm
Yeah.
excited. We talk about all of these different sports, and my dad knows how I feel about college basketball, and I gave it no attention last year.
I can't blame
It was a foregone conclusion.
I
I looked at everybody. I looked at all the teams. I looked at all the stars too, and was like, "Yeah, Connecticut got it again."
Oh, I get what you're saying. I thought you meant from like UNLV Mountain West standpoint. No, you're talking about
No,
You're talking about nationwide.
that's what's fun to watch.
Yeah. Okay.
You watch
Oh,
these little battles in these conferences. Oh, who's gonna win the Big 12? Oh, who's gonna win the SEC?
Right.
We know who's gonna win it all. We don't care.
Yeah. In my opinion, I fully thought it was gonna be UConn as well. I was just a little hesitant just because the guys that they lost. Because the big question mark was, can Klingon fully take over after who was the first year guy? Sonogo? I don't.
It was Sonogo.
Because the first year they won the championship, it was them two being like a two-headed monster.
Right.
But now with Sonogo gone,
It's clinging in him.
the big question was, can Klingon take over without Sonogo? And the answer was yes. But yeah, you could tell that they were the best team in my opinion. But that's what kind of upsets me about
Cooper
college.
Flag.
That's what upsets me about college. The analysts is they want to go right back to the Kentuckys and the Dukes.
Always. I mean, well, they get the best recruits in most situations, right?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit of a hater, but I don't see how Duke's still getting the recruits. I honestly, when Coach K left, I said, oh, that's it for Duke. They're not like.
I didn't say that's it, but I did think it would be tougher for
I didn't think people were going to want to play for John Shire.
Did you think that for Bama too?
No, because Kalen DeBoer, everywhere he goes, he wins. Shire did not have that track record.
Yeah, it was his first shot, was it not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. So different opinions on that one. Kalen DeBoer, I thought was a smart hire. People weren't gonna like it, but I mean, nobody was gonna be what Saban did.
Exactly.
So, but no, this situation was completely different. Like, as much as I don't like their program and the coach too much, like Coach K was there for 40 plus years, won 5 championships, maybe 6.
I gotta double check.
And he handed the reins over.
You know what's funny? When I count college coaches, I count the players. I count like Jalil got 1, Nolan Smith got 2, I think.
That's how you count. Okay.
That's John got 1. Like that's.
I do too. I do too. But I mean, I think because Coach K was so, everyone knows him. Obviously, like the amount of championships he has is pretty evident.
Right.
And the fact that they're handing the reins over to John Shire, that to me, I thought like, okay, well, no one's gonna want to because people all the time, if you ask those other guys you listed, it was, well, I went to Duke because I wanted to play for Coach K.
Yeah,
that's what it was. It wasn't.
Said he
it wasn't. Oh, I love Durham, North Carolina. I want to. It was never none of that.
Careful. They're gonna not let you in. Be careful.
Hey, that's fine. I don't plan to go there anytime soon.
That is hilarious.
I'd rather visit North Carolina or even NC State or than
Watch your mouth. What is up with you?
That's just
I grew up a Duke fan, right? And my dad is still a North Carolina fan, so our households used to be pretty.
You guys
crazy
are divided.
a
house divided. I didn't know you grew up a Duke.
It used to be pretty. And the funny thing is, I grew up a Duke fan for all the reasons that I don't like Laker fans for the most part.
Okay.
I seen that most of the college basketball world hated them, and I was like,
I get that.
I was like, I like it. Whatever you don't like them for, I like them. I like them for that reason.
Actually, growing up, I admired Duke's program, but
most people do.
Like as a kid,
Let me stop talking, man.
And as I got older, that's when I started to not like him as much.
Yeah. I mean, my dad asked me when I first came to UNLV, he was like, if UNLV and Duke plays, like, where does your heart lie? Dog, I've stepped foot on one campus. Like, it's not very hard for me to pick a side. I got a degree from one place.
Right.
I gave one place my money. Like, let's just start there. Like, yeah, I'm a little bit tied to this campus a little bit. But speaking of, I will see a coach later on who has won
Yeah, we got off
a
track.
couple
there,
of
my bad.
championships. Not really. We're talking college basketball, but later on, I will see a coach that has won a couple of championships over the past couple of years for UNLV. Let's not say couple. Let's give her a few years, right? Because I mentioned her earlier.
Right.
But Lindy LaRock and the UNLV Lady Rebels will be tipping off a season that could see them bring home a 4th straight Mountain West championship. This program has seen unforeseen heights like over the past couple of years. Now, I would love to go. Maybe I can go back and just see what some of the think pieces were like when Lindy was hired. Right, like we knew that she was a basketball mind. We knew what the upside could be.
Mm-hmm.
Lindy's done a lot of winning, right?
Yeah.
And shout out to Jared rather, and shout out to Caitlin now, both communication reps for the team. We do a lot of laughing. Like that's one of the better groups to cover. And the cop out is what the cop out is. They win. So it just makes the press conferences easier. It makes things just lighter around the team, right?
Yeah.
And almost every time I'm talking to Lindy, like, hey, this is your 100th game, coach, whatever, right? As we're walking away, I look at Lindy and I'm like, you know how many wins you got? Like in these? And these are just random things that I'll come up with. And she'll be like, nah, you got 78 or something like that. And like, I'm giving her these weird stats. Hey, you know that you beat conference opponents by an average of 26, whatever it is, right? And she's just looking at me like, nah, like just business as usual. And and this was so interesting because I was doing my prep for the game today yesterday, right? And I was doing my prep and I'm looking over things. And the biggest storyline for this team is that they lost Desi, right? They lost Desi Ray Young, somebody who's absolutely going to have her jersey raised to these rafters here in this building at the Cox Pavilion. I looked at the rest of the roster. Lindy LaRock is getting 10 returning players.
That's really great for continuity.
This team, while I don't know if they dominate the paint. Now, this is what's so interesting, right? Lindy's had Desi this entire time. It's going to be interesting to see if she still is inside out with the offense, or if she's found if she's kind of calculated a new way to win.
Yeah.
Because we know that's what kind of makes of a great coach, right? Are making the adjustments. And this is not an in-game adjustment. This is not a game-to-game adjustment. This is a season-to-season adjustment. I'm excited to see what this team looks like tonight against LMU.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I'm not trying to make excuses, but like,
you got an excuse. Here we go.
Yeah, I wasn't around, so
With Lindy?
No, well, in general.
Oh,
like I was.
You were in Phoenix.
Yeah, I wasn't living here in Vegas, so I didn't watch their games. But I kept tabs. Like they kept winning. Like I don't know. From the outside looking in, when she got hired, I'm like, okay, they went. I think she's a younger coach, quote unquote. So I'm like, they went the younger coach route. Let's see how this goes, And so, like you said, so far,
Lindy and my brother was born in the same year.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
and that just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. My brother, we have a 5-year difference.
Okay, yeah, I mean the dynamic, like the energy, the attitude that she brought to the program, it shows, like you said, and obviously, like you said too, winning helps as well.
My dad just texted me and told me what Lindy's record is right now.
Okay.
Lindy LaRock is 102 and 22.
Yeah, it's the proof is right there. And like you said, let's see how they go into the season, like after not having a long time player. But yeah, I didn't watch the games, but I kept tabs, and I saw that they always kept winning the conference. And actually, last season was the first. Well, last season I guess I don't know the full dynamics of NCAA women's basketball, but to see that the seed they got for the tournament, I was kind of disappointed with that.
Yeah. They don't value the Mountain West. If you just want me to be honest, they don't value the Mountain West from the standpoint of the past 2 years. UNLV has been, especially last year, UNLV has been expected to win.
Yeah.
So this is your spot to lose. The conference is 9 times out of 10, 9.8 times out of 10, going to get one spot. So what I found last year, I was talking to Lindy about it, right? These different programs are tired of getting beaten by the same team every year. So every year you can kind of point to somebody or point to a team and go, okay, they were on it. They were on it this year. You go back, I think it was maybe 2 years ago, it was McKenna Hofschild. You go back last season and it was New Mexico. Maybe I have them flipped, but I said McKenna Hofschild. That's hilarious.
I don't know.
Colorado State. My fault. My fault, yo. She was your entire team. But essentially, that's what it was, right? It was Colorado State and it was New Mexico over these past couple of years.
Okay.
And even last year when I talked to Lindy about it, or maybe that was the first 2 years, because last year I kind of talked to Lindy about it and I said, you get everybody's best shot, right? But these games are closer. These games are closer. And I was asking her about programs catching up. And now this is one of those opportunities where, like you said before, when you go back to those seeds, I believe they were a 12 twice and a 13 once. I think that was it. Maybe they were a 9. Were they a 9?
I'm gonna guess 9. I think it was a 9.
Maybe it was a 12, 9, and a 13.
Okay. I think
Maybe it was a
9.
12, 9, and a
I
13.
think last season was 9.
Because I know the first time they were 13, they had to play number 4 Arizona, and that's when I went to that game.
Okay. Oh,
The following year was 5 and 12. That was LSU. Last year was 8 and 9. We went to UCLA, right? Yeah. Yeah, that was
Okay.
Pauly. So
yes. I mean, like at least they finally became a single digit seed, which is progress. But I mean, still,
it's respect for the conference. If the conference is leading in and we see one standout star in this conference, this is yours to lose.
Yeah.
So the Mountain West has one spot. You better claim it. That's the
Right.
way that they're viewing it. And not to sound like that. And this is what's so interesting because I'm not trying to look ahead, right? But the next game for UNLV is Northern Arizona. And they've had a little series with them going the past couple of years.
Really?
Where it's back and forth. Northern Arizona's already 1-0 this year. And I'm waiting for that one because there is no Desi now.
Is that a home game?
It is a home game.
Home game.
Thank the stars because I don't know how UNLV looks on the road this early in the season
Right.
without Desi against a team that has started to learn you over the past couple of years. I'm super excited for that game. I'm gonna tell Lindy today, I'm excited for that game. So
I don't know if you looked into it yet because obviously that's not the game tonight. But as far as their roster, did they lose people?
I haven't looked yet.
Okay,
Haven't looked yet.
So I wonder if
See,
that's
damn
like
it, I almost picked up my phone. Let me stop.
no. I'm sorry. I was wondering because like obviously, V's dealing with some not full roster. We lost, like you said, you lost
You lost your anchor, like she would even say. You lost your, for lack of I hate using the word star in college, but you
Okay.
lost your star,
Okay.
essentially. You lost the person you lost your Tim Duncan of your offense. That's what you lost.
The good part is the point you brought up: 10 returning players. So that's at least it's not all bad. There is some good in there. Silver lining.
So let's look at the opposite side of it.
Right.
Because Kevin Kruger, on the other hand, I believe is dealing with 11 newcomers, 10
Yeah.
newcomers.
And that's what's so tough. Is I feel like is that going to be the case every single season for every single team? I mean, maybe not every single team, but most teams now.
I hate to
these
say it, but I
days?
feel like it's only putting a Band-Aid over the program. Now, what I will say,
Mhm.
because I'm with you,
Right.
and you guys know I'm not gonna say I've been called a Kevin Kruger apologist, but people know there might be a personal rooting interest for that for me. I rock with Kevin.
Okay.
I rock with AP. Like maybe that's just
Yeah.
what it is. But I also came in here and I tell you guys too when I'm reporting, and I tell you guys when it's my heart talking.
Okay.
I try to be very adamant in identifying the difference between those two. I remember coming in saying that I hadn't heard anything, and it's not getting back to me about Kevin being on the hot seat.
Gotcha.
Somebody hit me after that show and was like,
Oh.
"It's true."
Oh. Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, well,
Is this year 4?
this is going into year 4, I believe
Okay.
now." So
And
wait, hold on, real quick, because
Go ahead.
during that conversation, I'm like, so damn, now I got to come back on the show, and I'm like, I got to kind of walk back my take a little bit, and I came in and said, "Hey, some people hit me.
Mhm.
It's got a little more truth to it than I thought. So this is something to watch." And then they went on a run, right? And this is the funny part because
Oh, so this is the middle of last season.
yes,
Okay.
this is what I thought was so interesting about it. Kevin started to kind of coach with an I don't care attitude,
And that
and that yielded the best results. There was a to a degree, and I want to have this conversation with him to a degree, and I think I'm gonna have this conversation with him. I'm gonna actually talk to him about it and see if I can make this work because
Yeah.
there was a buttoned up element to him when he got here,
okay.
to where it's almost like you want to say the right things, you want to do the right things, you want to be the right.
Right.
I think he heard them for that entity to reach out to me and say there's some validity to it.
hmm
He heard it. It got back to him before me.
Okay.
So for that call to be made to me, there's only one other time that like something like that has been told to me, and Marvin was gone soon after.
I remember being with you on that whole.
I'm aware,
I do remember that.
and it's funny that you really.
I remember that. Yeah, we
And-
talked about that. Yeah.
And I remember certain conversations that happened around that time,
hmm
and certain conversations were happening again, and I'm like, damn, y'all gonna pull the plug now? Like this is the time that UNLV is thinking about pulling the plug, and then Kevin goes on a run, right?
Run.
And in that run, I witnessed a carefree Kevin Kruger.
Kevin Kruger.
I heard a different Kevin Kruger in the post game. I heard a Kevin Kruger almost as if y'all betting against me.
You think it was like he heard, and then he decided if these are true, I'm gonna go out. If I am going out, then I'm gonna go out
I'm going out swinging.
swinging. Yep. I mean, thankfully it worked. I mean, they still fell short, right? But it was an exciting last stretch of the season. I do remember that because I actually do remember that last stretch of the. Well, I mean, honestly, that's how everybody is with college basketball. That last stretch, people are more tuned in,
Yeah.
and I was more tuned in general with college ball. But being alum of UNLV and still wanting to see, like you said, even with football, I being a student, years of UNLV football just being what it was, and now to see what is now. I mean, I had pinch me moments, even though they lost. I was at the Syracuse game, and that was the first time I was at a game in a long time where I was
Mhm.
like, we are doing this. And with basketball, I came to UNLV knowing their rich basketball history. I came in 2015 when there was no other team here, so I wanted to see glory, inside Thomas Mack Center. My freshman year here at UNLV was the year of Steven Zimmerman,
Patty.
Pat McCall, Derrick Jones Jr., Ben Carter, who was like that transfer guy
Yeah.
from Oregon. I don't know, I can't remember fully everybody, but that was, it was
It
exciting.
was a squad,
There was
bro.
excitement. They started 7-0. They beat Oregon, and then it just went down here in conference play. And also, ever since I came to Las Vegas initially, UNLV still has not had it. So for the first time in a long time, last season, that last stretch was like, oh wow, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
they fell short, but like you said, he maybe there was a switch in attitude. We're gonna go out swinging, and they delivered.
You know what I've heard? I've heard the way that Kevin coached down the stretch, because I kind of posed the question.
Mhm.
The way that Kevin coached down the stretch was similar to the way that he played.
Oh,
And
Okay.
that's apparently that's what some people were feeling wasn't necessarily with him his first couple of years here at UNLV. It goes back to what I said about trying to be the buttoned up, astute guy.
right,
Kevin,
right.
if you're for lack of a better term, Kevin, if you're an asshole, be an asshole.
Yeah,
If that's what you are, dog, be it.
yeah. On the court, he was that like.
You're a dog. He
Dog
was
guy.
annoying. Like I've heard that Kevin was like he's a pest.
Okay,
If that's the way you coach and you like to get, you know what I mean? You like to be a little animated on the sideline, be that person. And to be honest, it yields better results.
Because guess what? Guess who also does that?
Talk about it.
Dan Hurley.
I was gonna say his dad, but
Oh.
we could do that too.
Oh yeah, no, well, because like you said, he's him, like
Yeah.
authentically himself.
Very true, very true, very true.
On the court, off the court, authentically himself, and he's a 2-time defending national champion coach now.
Now, I
So-
don't like sometimes when things don't go Kevin's way, like in terms of a loss.
Yeah.
And we got to look at film, and we heard AP say it a lot in terms of the bye week, right? But sometimes that is the only answer for these coaches. But
Right.
I have heard Kevin. I'm sure he's even bit back at one of my questions before, but I never take it. I don't even think I've internalized one. I've never really taken it a certain way because I really think that's what this program needs in order to get to where it needs to get to. Shout out to Matthew Raftery. I will always go back to his original point. He witnessed Vegas Golden Knight fans when he was covering the team take shots at Carlin Hartman for saying something about the team giving up or like the home fans leaving during one of the Knights games, and they was basically like, "You worry about how to fix the basketball team," and which I thought was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. And he ended up taking a job with the SEC. I think he went to Florida.
Okay.
And Matt talked about it. Matt was like, "I told you, Knights fans, when y'all was talking crazy to Carlin, he's not the reason this team is where it is. In fact, every time this team needs a kick in it, he's the one to do it." He said, "You guys are going to see what a difference he was on that bench if and when he leaves." He took a job like 2 weeks later. Matt came back in, and Matt said, "Now you guys are going to see that Kevin Kruger needed that person to be the guy to kick everybody in the tail when they needed it." I think over the last 3 months of the season, 2 months of the season, I think Kevin became that guy for the program, and maybe he should have always been.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said there, and I agree with it. If that's what needed to happen, and him flip that switch and be more authentic to who he is, and the results showed, I hope he keeps that the same going forward.
I like Kevin with spice.
Like I obviously opening night for every season. There's even if you have your doubts about your team, there's always a sense of optimism. It's opening night, like something to be excited about. I think obviously UNLV basketball is a staple here. So every opening night, there's that sense, right? Like you're gonna feel it when you walk in the building, or not even the building. When you're into the parking lot of Thomas Mack tonight, you're gonna feel it.
The lights flicker differently when UNLV basketball plays.
You're gonna feel it. But for the first time in maybe a few years, not only is there gonna be that opening night optimism, but it's gonna be like, hey, we actually got something to look forward to this season.
And this is what I want to highlight.
That's what's exciting.
And that's what I want to highlight a little bit, right?
Right.
We talked about last year, and I'm one of those people that I will tell Kevin. Kevin should say what every athlete should say. Doesn't matter. We were there. But UNLV only made the NIT because teams bowed out.
Yeah.
Period. But they won 2 games.
Yeah.
That's nothing to sneeze at, right?
Yeah.
So from the outside looking in, that's the way that Kevin has to kind of approach this situation. Y'all gave me an inch last season. I took a mile. I know that this conference is ours for the next 10 years. I know that we've had some issues in this conference. I think he can still make a statement this year. And I've said it before. Somebody said, what does Kevin need to not get fired essentially this year? They was like, does he need an NCAA tournament, bro? Does he need? And I kind of looked at him and was like, I think y'all are going kind of beyond the realm. Like, I'm not saying that it can't happen for this group because it can.
Yeah.
I don't think that he needs that to keep his job. If Kevin makes it to the Mountain West Championship game and loses, I think Kevin's fine.
So to you, that is the bar he needs to reach
this season.
Yeah.
Only reason why is because
so they fall
that
short.
still may get them an NIT berth.
God, no,
that's my point.
So what I'm asking is if they fall short of what you just said, you think this might be it?
I think making it to the semifinals is a win, right? Because it's like, oh, UNLV hasn't done it since, and then you get the clapping. If you get, no pun intended, clapped in the semifinals by Colorado State, everybody else is like, okay, we made it a step further to get beat by a team that still isn't up there. Okay. But if you lose to a Boise, a San Diego State, a Wyoming, one of those, right? We saw Hunter Maldonado actually go bonkers 1 year for Wyoming. If you run into one of those buzzsaws in the championship game, okay, maybe that. And I also think the way you lose matters.
Yeah.
But okay, maybe we can say that you lost to a team that ultimately ended up going to the big dance, being a 9 seed, ended up knocking off an LSU or playing the LSU competitively. That's who you lost to in your conference title game. Maybe we do get you directly into the NIT. Because, again, I was thinking about 3 schools last year. I'm going to go off the top of my head. I could be wrong. I'm just like Pitt, Ole Miss. And I'm just like, dog, if they didn't say that they weren't, Xavier, I think, did set out. These are programs that are in the NCAA tournament normally.
Mhm.
They were kind of locks for the NIT. Kevin did what he was supposed to do. You left the door cracked,
Mhm.
and I kicked it in.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, because you said maybe that bar for you is semifinals or finals.
He has to make the finals.
He has to make the finals. Okay.
I think semifinals you're getting close, but
What
somebody
about-
asked me recently too if UNLV's football's program's success has anything to do with Kevin's leash. Hell yeah, it does. Because this is not a football school.
Right.
You can't have the football program showing up the UNLV basketball program to that degree.
Right.
They're competing for bowl games, and we're happy to be in the semifinals of a conference championship. I mean, of a conference tournament.
Right.
Never.
Well, what I was gonna ask is, what if how about regular season results? Like if
They can't be 2 games over 500. They can't be 3 games over 500. Those 16 and 11 moments, we can't see that.
so okay.
You need to hover around 18. 18 would be what? 18 and 9, 18 and 10, maybe.
Yeah.
But at that point, now the conference standing or the conference tournament finish matters.
Right.
If you're 18 and 10, but you made it to the conference championship, you probably will get to 20 wins when you get to the NIT.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't love hypotheticals, so whenever we
Why'd
start
you
talking,
give me so many? No, I'm just playing.
I don't know, because I was just surprised by that bar you said right now. But yeah, I mean you're right. He has to hopefully build off the momentum of the way last season ended. I don't know, like okay, so this is year 4. Now what I don't remember was year 1 for him the 2020 season, the short COVID season, or was it 2021 his first season?
I think 2021.
Okay, so TJ's
21, 22, 22, 23. Yeah. 21, 22 was his first year.
okay. So TJ Otzelberger's last season was the COVID
I
season.
believe so.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So I guess it's 4 full seasons then. Because I was gonna say if there's I don't know. I know some people.
You got to keep in mind too, that first season that he took over, everybody was so angry at the way TJ left that
Because it was a short notice. Is that what it was? I can't fully remember if it was like.
it was the worst kept secret. It was
Oh,
the worst kept secret. They tried to give him more money on top of that deal that was all people were already questioning to begin with, and he still left. And again, I tell people I'm not necessarily mad at him because if your heart is in Iowa, he met his wife in Iowa. Like
yeah.
if your heart is in Iowa,
He was-
dog, go.
He was there already prior as
Exactly.
assistant coach. I'm
So,
not mad at him at all.
I'm not mad at him for it, but UNLV was mad about the way that it was done.
He was.
And
He was mad about everything. I mean,
Glad you
even
said
the Chris Beard situation too. Like
I
that
would be mad too.
yeah, people.
I would be mad too.
I don't know if people still talk about that, but
They do.
but that was a ghost. That was a shadow.
It's still a ghost in the
Still a
hall.
ghost? Okay.
It's still a ghost in the halls. You want to know why it's a ghost in the halls?
because he took him to the Texas Tech to the championship.
Not even because UNLV doesn't have a situation of their own. It's like, and I always liken stuff in sports to relationships. It's like if you break up with somebody, right, or
Mhm.
somebody leaves you,
Right.
and they go get with the love of their life. In the back of your mind, you don't really care if they got with the love of their life, if they got with somebody trash, if they got with whoever,
Yeah.
if you got your situation right.
Okay. Good point.
That's why UNLV has an issue. It doesn't matter if Chris goes and wins a national title. Until we get our situation right, I have a problem with you.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, you're right though. I mean, look how things went. Chris Beard went Texas Tech, took him to the championship game in year 1 or 2. The Marvin Menzies situation. There was some highs, but mostly lows.
You lose somebody from your program to them in Joel and Tomway.
That's right.
Covered him.
Yeah, I do remember him. I think you wore 24, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I remember him. Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, he I get it, and then we had to go through the TJ situation and I think there was promise there. There was.
Some people would argue that, but I think that's literally their fandom speaking because you can't be mad about him leaving and then say that there was no promise. So
No, I think maybe I'm a little biased, but I did he was one of the guys. I got to be there his introductory press conference. I got to talk to him there. And I liked everything he was preaching that day. And moving forward, everything he did, I was a fan of. He said right away, he knew that step number 1 was he was going to have to re-recruit which is kind of foreshadowing for now what
Mhm.
college ball is. But
Exactly.
he had to re-recruit all the guys that were on Marvin's team. Like, hey, like this is what I want to do. If you want to be part of this, stay here. And yeah, I mean, he gave UNLV what 2 years, 2.5 years or so.
2 years, I think.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, he went somewhere where he had his heart, like you said, his heart was at,
I think it was 2 years.
and he's doing good at Iowa State. Like
Oh,
I,
he's doing
root,
amazing.
I root for them because I like TJ.
I don't know if people here in Vegas is doing that, but
Yeah, well,
UN
I'm a different person, I guess. But yeah,
UNLV basketball is back tonight. The men are back tonight at 8:30 p.m. The women will play at 6:30 p.m. I will be at both games. Come say hi if you are at the game. We'll wrap up with Vegas Golden Knights and we'll get out of here. The Knights most recently stayed perfect at home. They are a perfect 8 up. I almost said 8 up and
Yeah.
0 down.
Right.
At home this season, they are 4-3. Or excuse me, I lied. I'm sorry, guys. They beat the Utah Hockey Club 4-3 in overtime. Brett Howden lit the lamp in overtime. His fast start to the season continues just in terms of his scoring ability. Bruce Cassidy talked about it, right? A couple of games ago. He said these guys, a lot of these guys rather, are going to be tasked with carrying more weight in terms of offense. I believe Matt talked about it. I think Matt said it was 80 something points that had left out the door this offseason. And he was just like, at the end of the day, these have to be made up somewhere. And he was basically saying that we're not going to replace one or all of these points with one guy. That's not necessarily the way that we're made up with the rest of these lines. We want the rest of these lines to be balanced. We want these to kind of like level out, right? This is how you kind of have it level out. And I know you were working on a story, the most recent story after me, and I can't remember that final number. Is Brett at 5 or 6 on the year? 6 on the year, right? Is it 5
for goals?
Yeah,
6.
So he's up to 6.
6, and I believe you said that
the career high is 9.
His career high is 9, and he already has 6 this early into the season.
I'm mixing it with Noah Hannafin's numbers because I have him next on here. But
okay, so Noah's the one that has. Noah's the one that's. Is it Noah the one that's close to?
No, it's Brett Howden.
Okay.
Noah had 3 points.
And his career high is
no. He had 3 points in his last game, this win against Utah, which why am I blanking? He had 3 points the first 11 games coming into the game.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
That's what it was. That was Noah Hannafin.
He matched his season total in one game. That's
and
right. Okay.
And on top of that, it's a game that you win 4-3. So it's not like it was an offensive explosion where there's just points to be had, right? Speaking of, how about Jack Eichel, right? No shot to him by no means, because we know what type of a star he is. He had, and I was sitting next to somebody that covers the Utah Hockey Club.
Okay.
And I heard 2 of them actually, and they were speaking. And in the back of my mind, I heard them talking. They were like, Jack is really fast. And then later on, they were like, look at his moves. Look at his stick moves. They said something else after the fact and was like, how many times has he been close to scoring? Jack had 4 shots in that win on, do you remember what day it was? All my days are running together.
Today's Saturday? Monday, so Saturday.
Yeah. There was a couple moves that he made right in front of the net, and he shot it wide. And I'm sitting there looking like, I don't know how many more times we're going to see Jack do this the rest of the year, right?
Yeah.
So just in terms of a little bit of foreshadowing, I know they're on the road next, and we know that they've had struggles on the road. It wouldn't shock me if Jack got one early. It's not like he was, clearly his accuracy was off in terms of it not even being on goal, but the play to get there, he was in front of the net whenever he wanted to against Utah. He just couldn't get one to go. I think he gets one early against Edmonton. This is a game that obviously will tell people a lot, considering Edmonton was the Western Conference representative last season in the Stanley Cup Finals. A series that went 7 games too, just a wild series, a wild moment. They will take on Edmonton Wednesday, November 6th. That is a 5:30 puck drop. That is the start of a 2-game road trip. As of now, your Knights are first in the Pacific Division with an 8-3-1 record. That's good for 17 points. The LA Kings are right behind them with a 6-3-3 record. They currently have 15 points.
I want to make sure that I get
Talk
this
to me.
right. Connor McDavid.
Oh, shoot. I kicked something. Sorry.
Is he injured right now?
I don't know. I haven't done my research for that game yet. I'm trying to get past you and
somebody's team, somebody's star player is out for a bit with
I can Google
with
it. Real
a
quick. Let me see.
some type of leg injury. I don't remember if it was Connor McDavid or if it was Matthew Tkachuk. I want to say it was McDavid, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's someone that's different than those two other guys as well.
Is it an ankle injury? If it is, I think it's that.
Okay, it's him then.
They said it's ahead of. They said he's ahead of schedule 5 hours ago.
So yeah, we might not have to face him Wednesday night or Wednesday.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. And I'll definitely have my research done. Probably by. I'm usually a
No,
person
yeah.
to be up late.
I was just wondering because I don't remember fully which star player it was, but okay, it was McDavid. Yeah.
And the one thing I did leave out really quick, guys, I do want to come back maybe on our Thursday show when we have a little bit more time. I do want to give a round of applause to the Divers for capturing title number 8 in year number 24. I like the way that they, first of all, let's go ahead and give another round of applause to Vanessa Bryant, who has absolutely smoked Kobe's Mamba marketing since his passing. Can't even imagine the strength that it's taking for her to do it. But I also want to just commend her that I don't think she struck out, and no pun intended. I don't think she struck out yet. Like some of the things, whether it was giving shoes to USC, whether it was dog, she's smoking.
Yeah.
Like I think even Kobe got to be up there. Like, damn, that's a good idea. Like I think she has taken this to a whole new level. This Mamba entity as a whole, the Mamba Academy, the merch, the sneaker, I think we're heading towards a real Jordan-esque range.
I mean, I think it was going to get there anyways. You know, if Kobe was still alive, but yeah, I like you said, what she's done is incredible, and I can only hope as someone who grew up as well as you, but you're not a Lakers fan, but someone who grew up in
talk about it.
Someone in SoCal that grew up a Lakers fan and just Kobe being what he was to us in the city. I could only hope. And I was a big fan, not only a big fan of him, but I was a big fan of his shoe line. I mean, I'm obviously I'm a little biased, but in my opinion, he has one of the best shoe lines of all time. And I could only hope that she continues doing what she does, and like you said, the Mamba line could be a Jordan-esque line. Obviously, it's not going to be what Jordan is. Jordan is something completely different. Even Kobe would tell you that. Like I love how it was the one thing that Jordan used in The Last Dance, but the quick little, Kobe says point blank period, I am who I am because of Jordan. Like his mindset, his moves, everything. There is no Kobe without Jordan. Absolutely. And that's all you really need to hear about that. But yeah, man, I remember I got to, as a kid, I was lucky enough to get my parents got me Kobe 1s, 2s, and 3.
Okay.
But when he switched to the low top and the price went up, I wasn't able to get the Kobe's anymore for a while. And then I was able to get Kobe 8s. And then as an adult, one of my dad's uncles luckily gifted me a pair of Kobe 5s. And then I was able to buy a retro pair of Kobe 1s. So I do have a few pairs currently. I used to say, like, when I get older and they start retroing the Kobe's, I would love to buy the ones I missed out on.
Yeah.
When he passed away,
they're astronomical right now.
And the Kobe line kind of was in limbo. I remember kind of being sad for multiple reasons, but I'm like, dang, the dream I had of being able to get the retro shoes is gone. And luckily, Vanessa was able to partner back with Nike. And like you said, what she's doing right now is incredible. And yeah, I'm excited for all the like right now I have not been able to get any of the most recent drops of his shoes, but like I know every time I see a pair of those Kobe 6 Italian camo colorway, like me personally, I want those so bad. But yeah, like you, I'm hoping that it continues to grow like a retro Jordan-esque line as well.
And I went to Westchester, so we were sponsored by Kobe.
Oh,
and what was so dope about Westchester, I think I would probably say our Kobe 7 editions are probably like the dopest ones to me. But I mean, I think I have
vividly remember those now.
Yeah, I have custom Westchester 6s, I believe. And I don't think I've worn them since he passed. They're old, they're worn, but they're Westchester editions.
Yeah.
And I realized a little bit more after he passed what they were, and I was just like, I'm just gonna let these kind of sit where they are. I do have my dad's tip in, and we can get out of here for this beautiful Monday. And I will head over to the Thomas and Mack, where we got basketball tonight, guys. My dad said his tip in for today is a little fun fact that he read. It's nothing new that sports tickets are getting higher and higher every year, but I may have found a package a few of you may be interested in. This upcoming fight between Iron Mike Tyson. I almost said something, and I don't want to say it. Never mind. I changed my mind. I've met Tyson before, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
This upcoming fight between Iron Mike Tyson and Jake Paul is rapidly approaching on November 15th at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Ticket prices to the highly anticipated boxing match are available for as low as $37 on SeatGeek. The official online broker of the fight, while three ringside seats were listed at $50,000 apiece. But for the diehard boxing fan, consulting firm Elevate. Okay, so I guess you know about them. So it's Elevate. They've unveiled renderings of its premium hospitality package for the fight. It's a 10-ticket MVP owner's experience, which, by the way, Most Valuable Promotions is a fire name.
I can't deny it.
It's hard. A 10-ticket MVP owner's experience that will seat 2 people in the private suite less than 6 feet away from the action. This is the closest to the ring that a patron seating has ever been approved by Texas boxing regulators, according to Elevate, and features premium leather chairs. There's more. Among other perks are a pre-fight locker room visit with Tyson and Paul. First of all, do you want to see Tyson before the fight?
No.
Hell no. Bro, what? He in there talking about the warriors of God are calling him. He's in the corner like doing some dance. I'm good, bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to.
I'm good.
I wouldn't want to be in the locker room before a fight.
You ever slapped hands with a football player before the game start?
I don't know if
It will have your damn arm ringing. Like it will have you like, Max, don't touch me. Like, don't touch me no more. Like, that hurts. Among the other perks are a pre-fight locker room visit with Tyson and Paul, a chance to be on stage during the weigh-ins, which is dope, autographed gloves from both fighters, and a personal concierge and security detail for the week. Fire. Yeah, I know you guys want to hate Jake Paul, but this is kind of fire, guys. In terms of admission, in addition to getting the ringside apron suite, the package includes 4 seats in each of the first 2 rows of the 80,000-seat venue that is home to the Dallas Cowboys. He made sure to mention the Cowboys in this. If this sounds like something you might like, it's yours. Oh, my gosh. He said it's yours for the taking at the astoundingly reasonable price of $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice. All right, I'm not going to lie, Dad. You smoked that because I was sitting here like, oh, I would definitely do that. Okay, it's how much? Yeah, Most Valuable Promotions might be able to go ahead and keep that. But until next time, guys, keep on talking.
This be crazy.